Let me name something you might have been feeling all day without quite having words for it. A few weeks ago, maybe at the new moon, something in you quietly began again. A small hope, a decision, a promise to yourself that this time would be different. And for a little while it felt light, almost easy. But now, today it has gotten hard. The old doubt is back. The momentum has thinned. Part of you is whispering that maybe you imagined it, maybe you're not really the kind of person who follows through. Maybe you should just quietly let it go before anyone notices you tried. If that is the weather inside you tonight, I want you to hear this clearly before we go any further. Nothing has gone wrong. You have simply arrived at the hardest, most misunderstood point of the entire cycle. Tonight, June 22nd, 2026, the moon is at her first quarter, exactly halfway between the new moon and the full, and this precise moment is built to feel like friction. This is your moon letter for the crossroads, and it is not here to push you harder. It is here to show you that the resistance you're feeling is not proof you should stop. It is proof you've reached the turn. Let's open it together. Look up at her tonight, and you'll see it written in the sky. The moon is half lit, one side glowing, one side still in shadow, a clean bright line drawn straight down her middle. About half of her is visible, climbing now toward the full moon at the end of the month. This is the first quarter, and that perfect half and half is not an accident of timing. It is the cycle showing you its own crossroads. Half of what you began is already real. You can see it, you've started, it exists. And half is still in the dark, still unmade, still asking to be carried the rest of the way. So if you feel split tonight, half sure and half doubting, half lit up and half exhausted, you are not unstable. You are simply mirroring the exact shape of the sky. The moon is not waiting to be whole before she keeps rising. She climbs while she is still half in shadow. Tonight, she gives you permission to do the same, to keep going before you feel ready, before you feel certain, before the doubt has fully cleared. The energy of a first quarter day has a very particular flavor, and almost everyone misreads it. It feels like effort. It feels like pushing a door that has gotten heavier than it was. It can show up as irritation, as restlessness, as that specific tiredness of wanting to give up on something you actually still want. And because we've been taught that the right path is supposed to feel smooth, we take that friction as a sign we're on the wrong one. But the lunar cycle teaches the opposite. The first quarter is called the crisis of action. Not crisis as catastrophe, but crisis as the original meaning of the word, a turning point, a moment of decision. The seed you planted at the new moon has now grown enough to meet its first real obstacle, the old habit, the inner critic, the comfortable excuse. And that collision is not the end of the story. It is the moment the story actually starts. Today is not asking you to feel motivated. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It left around day 4. Today is asking for something quieter and far stronger. One small act to follow through, made precisely because it's hard, not because it's easy. In human design, the sun is still moving through gate 15, sometimes called the gate of extremes or the love of humanity. And tonight we're in its 4th line, which carries one of the most tender stories in the whole system. Gate 15 line 4 is sometimes called the wallflower. Think about what that word holds. The one at the edge of the room. The one who watched more than they joined. The one who, all the way back to childhood, felt a half step outside the group. Present but not quite belonging, loving people but never quite fitting them. If that has been your quiet ache, line 4 says something that might undo a knot you've carried for years. That distance was never a defect. You were not failing to fit in. You were standing where you could feel the whole room. Gate 15 holds the entire range of human rhythms inside one person, and the wallflower is the one who refuses to flatten their own strange, uneven beat just to match the crowd. Your not fitting was always a form of love. The love that keeps its own rhythm so that someone else, someday, feels permission to keep theirs. Let's go right to the heart of why this day feels like resistance, because once you understand it, it stops being something happening to you and becomes something happening for you. Picture the lunar cycle as a single month-long act of growth. At the new moon, 2 weeks ago, the ground was soft and dark and you dropped a seed in, an intention, a fresh start, a quiet yes. For the first several days, growth is invisible and effortless. The seed is feeding on everything it already had stored inside it. But there comes a precise point, and in the moon's calendar, that point is now, the first quarter, when the seedling has used up its starter fuel and hits the actual soil. The real resistance. The packed earth, the competing roots, the weight of everything above it. And this is the exact moment most things die, not because they were weak, but because this is when it first gets genuinely hard, and the gardener, seeing the struggle, assumes it isn't working. Here is what you have to understand. The struggle is the working. A seedling that never meets resistance never grows a strong stem. It grows thin and pale and falls over at the first wind. The pushing against the soil is what builds the structure that can hold a flower later. So when your intention from 2 weeks ago suddenly feels heavy today, when the new routine, the boundary, the dream, the change all feel like pushing against packed earth, that heaviness is not the universe telling you to stop. It is the precise sensation of your intention growing a stem strong enough to actually carry what you planted it for. You are not failing at the easy part. You have arrived at the part that matters. And almost everyone who gives up right here, days, sometimes hours, before the ground gives way. Now let's stay with that wallflower for a moment, because the first quarter and Gate 15 Line 4 are telling the same story from two directions, and where they meet is where the healing is. So much of the resistance we feel when we try to change isn't really about the task. It's about an old fear that wears the task as a costume. And for the person who never quite fit in, that fear has a very specific voice. It says, if you actually follow through on this, if you really change, really rise, really become the version of you that you keep glimpsing, you'll end up even more alone. You'll outgrow the room you already barely fit in. Somewhere long ago you learned that belonging was conditional, that being too much or too different or too intense cost you something, so a quiet part of you started shrinking your own rhythm to stay in a group. And that, more than any lack of discipline, is what makes the first quarter so hard for sensitive people. The resistance isn't laziness. It's loyalty to an old version of belonging that asked you to stay small. But here is what Line 4 knows that the frightened part of you doesn't. The wallflower was never meant to dissolve into the crowd. You were meant to keep your own beat at the edge of it, because that uneven, honest rhythm is exactly what you came here to offer. Every time you felt like the odd one out, you were actually holding a frequency the room needed and couldn't make for itself. So the change you're resisting tonight is not a betrayal of your belonging. It's the moment you stop belonging to the crowd's rhythm and start belonging to your own. And paradoxically, that is the only kind of belonging that has ever lasted. So how do you actually live this, tonight, this week, in the real and ordinary life you'll wake up to tomorrow? It begins with where the sun now sits, because there's a second movement in the sky tonight that changes everything. The sun is in Cancer, the sign of home, of roots, of the soft inner world, and Cancer asks the one question that turns this whole day around. Where's home inside you? You see, you cannot push through external resistance for very long if you are abandoning yourself on the inside while you do it. That's how people white-knuckle a goal for 2 weeks and then collapse. They were performing the change for an imagined audience while quietly betraying their own needs the entire time. Cancer's medicine for the first quarter is this: belong to yourself first. Before you push the boulder one more inch, come home. Ask what you actually need to keep going, not what looks disciplined, what's genuinely sustainable for the particular, sensitive, uneven person you are. And then, instead of trying to leap the whole distance tonight, make one small promise to yourself and keep it. That's all. The reason small matters so much is that resistance feeds on broken promises to ourselves. Every grand intention we abandon teaches the deepest part of us not to trust our own word. So we rebuild trust the opposite way, a promise so small you cannot fail it. One sentence written, one 5-minute walk, one honest message sent, one thing put back in its place. When you keep a promise that's small, something quiet and powerful happens. The part of you that has been bracing for you to quit again exhales and begins, cautiously, to believe you. That is how you act through the friction, not with a heroic surge, but with one kept promise in your own rhythm, made to the one person whose trust you most need to win back, yourself. Do that tonight, and you don't just move your intention forward. You become someone you can finally rely on. Here is your first quarter ritual, and it's built around one idea, small enough to actually keep. First, get quiet for a moment and name the one intention in your life that is currently meeting resistance. Not your whole list. The single one that has gotten hard in the last week, the one a part of you is tempted to quietly abandon. Say it out loud. Name it honestly, because the thing we name loses its power to haunt us from the shadows. Second, take one small action toward it tonight, right now, before you sleep. Make it almost embarrassingly small. Open the document and write one line. Lay out the shoes for the morning. Send the one message. Clear the one corner. The size doesn't matter. The keeping does. Third, place one hand on your heart. Feel it beating under your palm and say simply, I'm still here. I haven't quit on you. Let that land, because that sentence is the real ritual. It's you telling yourself that you are still in the room. And finally, choose tomorrow's promise now and make it just as small. The goal this week is not to finish. It's to not abandon yourself, to keep showing up at the crossroads in your own rhythm until the ground gives way. And it will give way. The half moon always climbs to full. So, let this be the letter you keep from the crossroads. The resistance you felt today was never a verdict on who you are. It was the cycle doing exactly what it's built to do, meeting your intention with the friction that grows it strong. You are not the person who always quits. You are simply someone who has reached, again and again, the precise point where it gets hard and mistaken that point for the end. It was never the end. It was the turn. Lid is still rising. You are allowed to climb before you feel ready, to keep your own uneven rhythm, to belong to yourself first, and to act through the friction with one small, kept promise tonight. Thank you for spending this crossroads evening here with me. A new letter from the sky arrives every single day, and as this moon keeps climbing toward full, we'll read each one together. If tonight loosens something in you, let it stay loose. You don't have to carry it tightly anymore. This was your moon letter. Move gently with the moon, and I'll meet you here again tomorrow.